Who's ready for story time?
My name is Brad Gosse, and I write children's books, but I have to self-publish them because they keep getting rejected. Today I'm going to read Don't Bathe with Uncle Joe, Setting Boundaries with Adults. Mom's OnlyFans, New Beginnings from Difficult Choices. Rich kids, they're better than you. Cinnamon, a horse forced into the sex trade.
I write books for children. Many of them have been banned by TikTok. I'm going to show you some of my newest books, and you get to guess which two I'm not allowed to read on TikTok anymore. Uncle Bob Can't Wait to Show Me His Knob, Gluck Gluck 9000, Star Horse, My Racist Dog, Sweatshop Kids Make Everything You Own, Mike Hunt Smells Like Fish, or Buster the Perverted Ghost.
I don't know. We'll have to find out which ones were not allowed on TikTok. Brad Gosse, come into my basement. That could be the name of your next book. I go into Amber's basement.
You're in my basement. I'm in your basement. So,
all right. Let's have some fun. All right, Brad. That's amazing. Those books that you actually publish. I mean, you can buy those books. How did you get started with that?
I used to have a company called Vector Tunes. It was a clip art, graphic design company.
Yeah.
And one day I was making some Facebook ads. I've always had a weird sense of humor, so I made an ad for the business that said you can do anything with Vector Tunes, even make children's books. And it was one of the covers of one of the book ideas that I had. And the ad did okay, but my friends thought it was hilarious, and I had a lot of fun making this cover. No, and I didn't write a book. I hadn't done anything else but a cover, and I had so much fun with it. I spent a weekend making 100 covers because I'm really proficient in graphic design, and so I was like, oh, I'll just make these covers up. This is kind of fun. Here's a bunch of book ideas that never made it, kind of thing. And so I self-published that book in I guess it was about 3.5 years ago, and it was just covers. There was no, it was just every page was another book idea, and it did okay. It didn't do extremely well. I maybe sold a couple hundred copies of that book, and then about 6 months later, I was on TikTok. My kids told me about TikTok, and I started making comedy TikToks just for fun on the side, and they weren't doing that well. And then one day I just went on TikTok and I was like, oh, I have these old ideas. Let me try one of these on TikTok. So I said, my name's Brad Gosse. I write books for children, but my publisher always rejects them. What do you think of this book title? And then it was like, Why Daddy Hits Mommy, a kid's guide to understanding alcoholism. And that video got like 1 million views or 1.5 million views on TikTok. And I started reading the comments, and most of the comments were asking me to read the book. Why can't you read this book to us? Well, I hadn't written any of the actual pages. And so I was, sitting in my living room watching TV one day, and I said to myself, well, I could write this. I mean, it's not hard to write a Dr. Seuss style children's book about an alcoholic father who beats his wife. No. These things happen every day. So I thought, let's write something. So I wrote it. And I didn't illustrate pages. I didn't publish anything. I just wrote a poem, basically, right? And then I held up the cover of the book with the poem on the back, and I read it on TikTok, and that got like 1.5 million views. And the comments were all the same. Why can't you show us the pages? And so that's when it clicked. I'm like, okay, I need to illustrate this book. And before I do the next step, I'm going to self-publish it on Amazon so that I can say you can buy it at the end. So then I ordered a copy. I illustrated it with clip art, ordered a copy, read it on TikTok, and the book started selling.
And what was that book? That was the
Why Daddy Hits Mommy. Yeah. And so that book did fairly well. And from that moment, I understood the assignment, right? The assignment was make all 100 of these books, publish them all, read them all, and see what happens. And so that's been the last 3 years of my life. That's basically what I've been doing, is publishing. I'm at 123 or something now. And it just, that became the formula.
So, do you have a board of advisors? I see a bunch of 12-year-old boys sitting around giving you ideas.
Yeah, it's interesting. My fan base is interesting. My fan base is kind of, teenage boys, middle-aged women, like divorced middle-aged women. Those are the kind of the two pockets that seem to have hit for some reason. And of course, everywhere in between, there's lots of other, people who love it. But that's kind of the two pockets of my demographic are teenage boys and middle-aged women.
Well, why the middle-aged women? That's interesting.
Look at this face.
You got me swooning. That's for sure.
Like, so, I think I don't know. I think I must resonate somehow. And so I chalk it up to my good looks.
Before you had the clip art business, what did you do?
I spent, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 24, mostly online. So I've done everything from, adult entertainment to graphic design.
Adult entertainment. What? Yeah. Tell me more.
My first 10 years in business, I was in the adult entertainment business online. So that was from
that was pre OnlyFans.
Yeah, that was like 1998 to 2008.
What was your title or what was your name?
Webmaster. I wasn't I was just like behind the scenes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But just publishing, it was publishing websites, that type of a thing. I've always been ever since I was in my 20s, I realized, that was back when the internet was still, we weren't sure, in the 90s, we weren't sure if it was going to be a thing. We were like, if this thing sticks, it's going to be great. So I always knew that I wanted to work from home at my desk, in my basement and not have to, punch in a clock or go to a cubicle. And so that's what I've always done.
Give me some other titles of your books.
Sure, I got a little stack here I can show you. Sweatshop Kids Make Everything You Own.
Well, that's true. That's in the nonfiction segment, I think, of the library.
Help Me, Stepbro. My Racist Dog Only Trusts Whites. Mom Runs Trains on the Weekend with Dad's Friends. Buster the Perverted Ghost. My Big Black Hawk.
Yes. For animal lovers.
Smells Like Fish.
I've heard that.
And Dad's a Cuck.
How from concept of the I'm sure the title comes first, that so to speak.
Yeah.
And how long does it take you to write the book and put it together and get it on Amazon?
About an hour. So if I have the art, I don't draw, so the art is done by I have a cartoonist who works for me full time. But the first maybe 50 books I illustrated with clip art from my existing company. So I didn't actually have to, I just had to find, like Frankenstein together a couple cartoons. So even when it was that, it took about an hour from title and idea to upload it to Amazon, waiting for approval. Approval takes about 24 hours. So from, if I publish a book today on Amazon, upload it to Amazon, it'll be live on their website tomorrow.
What have there been titles where Amazon says, no, thank you?
They've never rejected a book in the publishing phase, but I did have one book banned by Amazon.
And that was?
It was called You're Going to Camp Coronavirus Because You Didn't Wash Your Hands. And what happened was, Amber, I published this book in like, it was January, before all the lockdowns came, before all the craziness happened, right? It was still just a thing that was happening in Wuhan, China, and not many people were fearful. But my girlfriend at the time, she's my wife now, but at the time she was very, very concerned about it, and she was watching the news about it and kind of stuck to the story. And I remember thinking, if she's concerned about this, I should pay more attention to it. She's a smart person. I trust her judgment. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a book about this, because it's in the news every night. So that's always a hot thing if it's in the news. And so I wrote the book, published it, and it started selling really well. And then when March came and the lockdowns came, if you went on, there was a point where if you went on Amazon and you typed in coronavirus, my book was the very first product to be, and there weren't that many products, right? But a lot of the products were, hand sanitizers, things people were trying to use to convince you to buy. And so Amazon did a full sweep, and they just said every product with this in the name is gone. And I fell into that kind of blanket. It's kind of like it's like the publishing equivalent of stop and frisk. It was just like take it all down. And so they took everything down, including this book. And at the time they took it down, it was selling a lot of copies every day because everybody was searching for this thing. And then they found my book. So Amazon just didn't want to be caught up in any misinformation stuff. They were protecting their own ass, and I get that. So they took it down. And so what I did was I put it in PDF format and I just gave it away. I said, hey, come to my website, give me your email address. Still today, you can go to bradgosse.com and get the book for free. Just because, I wanted to keep it going and I wanted to kind of build a little buzz around it. And then shortly thereafter, Amazon stopped shipping books because during the early days of the pandemic, when we were, the first sort of 2 weeks, Amazon was only people delivering groceries. And so they prioritized essential products over non-essential products. And so all my books got kind of pushed to the back of the line in terms of, people weren't even ordering books because they knew they couldn't get them. So there was kind of a lull in my growth during that time. I even considered quitting, doing this because I was like, oh man, I'm not selling any books right now. My bestseller just got pulled. Why am I bothering with this? And it took a couple months before book sales bounced back.
Well, Brad, we're going to take a short break here, but when we come back, I want you to read me one of your stories. Okay?
Right? Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back with Brad Gosse. All right, Brad. So tell me a story.
All right. The story we're going to read today is called My Racist Dog Only Trusts Whites. Oh, and there's a theme song for every book.
Oh, I was going to ask about music. Great.
My racist dog only trusts the whites.
Doctor, please help my little dog Jack. He only likes whites, and that is a fact.
Oh.
When we go outside, he barks at the blacks. He barks at the browns and the Indians too. He barks at the mailman. I think he's a Jew. The answer is simple. It's in your dog's ear. Jack hears your heart. He knows that you fear. Asian peeps, brown peeps, and black people too. Your dog isn't racist. The problem is you, my racist dog.
Oh my! How fascinating the turn there.
A lot of my books have an interesting twist.
Very, very good. Because you're thinking, okay, he's really going for it, and then, oh, isn't that nice? I learned something. Now, the song. Now, if I buy the book, how do I hear that song? Or
if you buy the book, you don't get the song. The song is kind of just used for videos and reactions, and kind of when I'm presenting the book on in a video, the song will be. It's sort of a surprise, like nobody expects the song, right? So it's kind of fun.
Okay. Where do you go from here?
You know what? I don't know. It's one of those things where I keep thinking I'll graduate from doing books, but then I'm selling a lot of books, and I thought maybe I couldn't get to 100, but I did. And now I'm thinking maybe it's 1,000 books. I don't know. So I do stand-up comedy. I do other things. if you're watching Adult Swim, call your boy, let's make a deal. That kind of a thing would be nice. Netflix special would be nice. Netflix, if you're watching, I'm here, I'm ready for you. I got a whole hour. I'm also working on a half-hour TV show type thing for YouTube, which would basically be so my brand of comedy is kind of like it's done in a children's style but for adults. And so and I joke about this, but it's kind of true. I really think there's a space in entertainment that's not been properly manipulated, and the space is making content for people who are high. And so that's I think that's my jam. If you're high, you're probably watching my stuff. And so I'm doing this like Mr. Rogers style kind of show just for people who are, high.
Well, you should definitely aim towards Vermont. I think that you should have a big audience.
Same here in Canada, right? I mean, we ever since we legalized marijuana, it's been everybody's high all the time. I mean, you smell it everywhere you go. The whole city of Toronto is in a fog of marijuana haze.
It's about time.
And so those are my peeps.
Where do you do your stand up?
All over. I do it in Toronto mostly. But again, if you have a comedy club, I will get on a plane and I will come to you and I will entertain your people.
We have a great comedy club here in Burlington, Vermont, the Vermont Comedy Club. It's comedians who come through there say it's one of the nicest ones they've ever performed in. And also the people who own it are really good people as well. So nice. You might want to check out the Vermont Comedy Club.
Yeah, I love doing stand-up. I love it.
We started off the interview showing a clip, and you said 2 of your titles were not allowed on TikTok. Which ones were those?
My Racist Dog, the one I just showed you. It's okay on YouTube, but it's not allowed on TikTok, and I'll tell you why. And then the other one in that pile, what was the other one in that pile that was not allowed on TikTok? I'm trying to remember what the books were. Can't remember what the other one was now. No, I don't remember which one it was. What were the books in that group?
Mike Hunt, Black Hawk.
Those are okay.
Those are okay.
Yeah, those were okay.
Mommy Pulling Trains, I believe.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, that was okay.
Playing with Trains or something.
What was the other one? I can't remember what the other one was. There's 2 in that list that they banned. Oh, Star Whores was the other one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So TikTok is very, they have the strictest community guidelines. The funny thing is that, I have a series of books called Dead Babies, and every page is just another dead baby and how they died. And those are okay. TikTok doesn't like it when you talk about race, and they don't like it when you talk about, and it's specific things. So I can show My Racist Dog. I can show the cover of the book. But what I can't show is the dog actually being racist. So when I say, because I'm speaking from the guy's perspective, right? So when I say the blacks and the browns, that's kind of like, now it's like not cool to say blacks, right? You have to say black people. So by saying those kinds of phrases, that will trigger the community guidelines violations. And so that one, and then Star Whores was taken out because, now keep in mind, Star Whores is basically just a whole bunch of alien hookers. Every page is a different hooker, with a different name. And I looked at all the Star Wars names and I kind of, played with those styles. One of them I said might be underage.
Oh.
Now keep in mind, it's an alien, a cartoon alien, and we don't even know what the age of consent is for an alien that I made up. I don't right? Know. But because I said underage and whore kind of in the same context, it got silenced. And that, it's funny, me reading that book, they didn't take it down, but they muted it. So I could show the pages. I'm showing the pages. You just can't hear what I'm saying, which is kind of funny. So yeah, it was those two books. So they have they have very strict rules about certain types of conversations they don't want you to talk about, and when you fall in that category, that's it. It's taken out.
Other than TikTok, and has anyone else objected to your work?
Every day someone objects to my work. Amber, I get called a groomer and a pedophile hourly. And I'm constantly I constantly see comments of people saying it's only a matter of time before the libtards and the blah blah blahs and this is going to be on Drag Queen Story Hour, and it's the people who watch way too much news, and one story just set them off, and that's their narrative for the rest of their life. But yeah, it's funny because I in my stand-up I have a joke about groomers. I talk about grooming in my stand-up, and I joke about how the first time someone called me a groomer, I didn't even know what it meant. I had to Google it because I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I realized a groomer is someone who befriends a child but doesn't actually do anything to them until they become legal age. So I always joke about how grooming is the pedophile long game. But people say it because they don't process the joke. And so they hear children's book, and then they see me saying things about Black Hawks, and then they're like, oh my God, this guy's a pedophile. He's trying to indoctrinate my children into his lifestyle. And, they just like the outrage in our society right now, like the outrage, like everybody's addicted to outrage porn.
Oh.
And they create it themselves. They find something that sets them off and they just lose their minds, So yeah, I mean, I would say, so I have two pockets of demographic. I have teenage boys and middle-aged women. I also have two pockets of demographic that absolutely hate me, and it's teenage girls and middle-aged men. Figure that one out. Right? Middle-aged men hate my stuff. They're just like, you are a monster. And teenage white girls love to get offended on behalf of people of color and say your stuff is racist. But when I read my books, like when I read My Racist Dog in a comedy club, it's the black people laughing the loudest. When I read my books about race, it's the white people that get offended because they don't know how to process there's so much taboo in our world right now that when you say something that has been traditionally, taboo, people are like, wait a minute, you're not allowed to say that. And I need to get upset. And I'm not sure why, but I'm getting upset because I think I need to stand up for other people. And so the 14-year-old girls, white girls hate my stuff. Not all of them, but a good percentage of them do. And they feel that they need to get offended on behalf of others who aren't offended.
Well, I don't know about, maybe it says something about the company I keep, but the middle-aged men that I hang around, they would find your humor very entertaining.
Same with the middle-aged men I hang around. But there is a pocket of middle-aged men who get very angry very easily.
Wow. Fascinating work. Thank you so much, Brad Gosse, for joining us tonight. And I can't wait to read some more of your books. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amber.